Company Z spent months building an operation that bordered on perfection. Their new workforce operating system was a pristine technical achievement. Their forecasting data was clean. Their models for shrinkage, the expected loss of productive time to things like breaks and absences, were fully validated. The math was so reliable that the workforce management team earned a permanent seat in the boardroom. Then, a new wave of analysts and team leaders were hired to run the operation. Within 6 weeks, schedule adherence slipped. Previously accurate variance reports started drifting off target. The software code had not decayed. The architecture was entirely intact. The output was degrading because the people operating inside the system were lost. To fix the drift, the leadership team stopped running software diagnostics and started looking directly at how new employees were being integrated into the workflow. What they found was a massive, compounding cost that occurs when unprepared humans are placed at the helm of sophisticated machinery. They called it the onboarding debt. This chart illustrates the baseline debt at Z. It took an average 11 weeks for a new analyst to reach full competence. During those initial weeks, their forecast variance was 3 times higher than a senior's. Their escalation rate was 4 times higher. This debt never appears on a standard P&L statement. Yet, every week a new analyst operates at 60% competence. They introduce human errors faster than the perfect technological system can absorb them. To understand how this human variable affects the data, we have to look at a new workforce intelligence analyst named Amara. She was exactly 6 weeks into her role. The senior analysts around her carried years of institutional knowledge. They understood the company's historical patterns, which meant they had learned exactly what data to automatically ignore. This 4-month line graph shows the escalation data Amara was reviewing. Notice the vertical spikes. The time it took a bot to handle an escalation was 40% higher every single Thursday. The senior team had completely normalized this as background noise. Amara traced those repetitive spikes directly back to a weekly software maintenance window that was triggering micro outages for the customer service agents. New analysts haven't learned what to filter out. That lack of conditioning makes Fresh Eyes an incredible signal detection asset, exposing the vulnerability of relying entirely on the assumptions of seasoned veterans. Despite her finding, Amara's observations sat unaddressed in a chat log for 2 days. Onboarding at Z was largely an HR checklist, meaning there was no formal channel for a junior employee to surface systemic insights. Integrating a human into a complex operation requires a specific framework. A new hire must climb 3 distinct progression ramps: technical, contextual, and judgment. This 3-tiered pyramid shows where traditional integration fails. Most companies fill out the technical and contextual layers, but leave the top judgment tier completely empty. This is the stage where an analyst learns the difference between trusting a mathematical model and actively challenging its assumptions. At Z, the lack of a judgment ramp was made worse by 2 structural failures. Veteran staff kept operational workarounds strictly in their heads instead of in documented playbooks, and middle managers lacked the technical literacy to translate variance reports into actual staffing decisions. Without formalizing that judgment tier, a company cannot build a resilient operational structure. They are simply crossing their fingers and hoping their new hires figure it out. To stop the bleeding, Company Z elevated their onboarding process from an administrative paperwork task to a heavily funded strategic capital investment. They enforced a strict 90-day capability map. New hires were required to pass specific, measured testing gates that forced them to develop independent judgment before they were allowed to operate alone. Company Z also introduced the playbook protocol. Senior analysts were mandated to document their operational context, including specific edge cases where the standard model gives the wrong answer, before that knowledge could evaporate. Finally, they built a data literacy program specifically for middle managers. Teaching managers how to read the signals the analysts were flagging transformed an adversarial environment into a culture of shared accountability. This area chart shows the immediate operational return. The standard learning curve was aggressively compressed from 11 weeks down to just 7. During these recovered weeks, mathematical returns compound quickly. Forecast variance drops by 41%, and escalation requests plummet by 33%. The multi-million-dollar forecasting software and scheduling algorithms did not change one bit. Only the method of bringing humans into the system changed. The most sophisticated models in the world account for shrinkage, attrition, and volume, yet ignore the learning curve of a new hire. And an intact system run by lost people is the most expensive operational debt a company can carry.